Hello, I'm Evan Brand, Certified Functional Medicine Practitioner. What does that mean? That means that I help people like yourself get to the root cause of your health symptoms. So whether it's anxiety, depression, irritability, mood swings, fatigue, weight gain, irritable bowel syndrome, acne, eczema, things like that, I help people resolve those issues naturally. Now, I released a video, what was it, yesterday, the day before, about sleep. And I feel like I oversimplified that issue a little bit and led people to believe that cortisol and blood sugar are the only pieces to the puzzle that can help or hinder your sleep quality. Those are two very huge pieces, but something that's not often talked about is the impact of gut health, your microbiomes, the buzzword that people use, and how that impacts your sleep. So let's talk about it right now. The first piece we have to talk about are cytokines. These are really small proteins that help to allow cells to communicate with one another. And in the evening, these cytokines rise as a byproduct of our healthy gut. So our healthy gut stimulates our immune cells. So things like T cells, macrophages, you may have heard of these. Basically what they do is they secrete and modulate cytokines, these little proteins. Now this puts us into the non-REM, the early stages of sleep. Then as the night goes on, these cytokine levels drops, called interleukin-1. These levels are supposed to drop, and then you get to transition into REM sleep, so you can wake up feeling rested and you go through dreams and hopefully remember your dreams. Now what happens, a lot of people have what's called hypersomnia, where you're just exhausted all of the time through the day. That's likely because you have some issue going on in the gut and you just have either the wrong types of cytokines or you just have way too many cytokines. If you do not have a diverse population of gut flora in the right amounts and you are free from pathogenic bacteria, parasites, and other types of infections, you have to have that as a foundation if you want to sleep well. Now you saw my video. If you haven't, then I'll link it here below about parasites. When I had my parasitic infections, I couldn't sleep at all. I was waking up in the middle of the night. I was waking up not feeling rested. And once I started researching more about gut health and how it impacts your sleep, I was like, wow, it all makes sense. So, like I talked about, I already said this. Now, a clean gut is essential, and probiotics can be incredibly helpful. Now, we could geek out if we wanted to. We could talk about TNF alpha, we could talk about interleukin-1 and all of the unique cytokines and how they relay messages and stuff like that, but you don't really need to know that. Here's what you need to know. Clean gut is number one. So how do you get a clean gut? Well, one is you have to remove all the things that are damaging your gut. So let's talk pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, chemicals that are in non-organic food. If you look at food, even if you go to a farmer's market, you look at some strawberries, if it does not say, or they're not promoting that it's organic, assume that it is conventional, which is a crazy term. I think it should be considered chemical. Assume that something's chemical unless otherwise. You have to remove those if you want to have a clean gut, because even in a very low dose, things like glyphosate are going to kill off the healthy bacteria that are important for regulating the immune system, which then regulates your inflammatory response, helps to regulate your HPA axis, which helps your brain and your adrenals work good, and it also helps you to sleep well. So you really have to have a clean gut, and that's by removing all the bad foods. Now let's just say that you showed up with something. Let's say we ran some lab testing on you. You showed up with something like a candida overgrowth, which is a yeast problem. Let's say you showed up with something like a clostridia overgrowth, which is a bacteria that can, in the case of C. difficile, can cause a lot of diarrhea. It's not a fun bacteria infection to have. You have to remove those. And then the third step is just going to be replace. And then some people go on and say like re-inoculate, which is true. They're all sort of linked up. Some people call it the 5R approach, the 6R approach. But basically, once you've actually identified that the gut is clean, and if there were infections, that you remove those, and then you replace the enzymes, you replace the bacteria with good probiotics, you're re-inoculating the gut, you're reducing the inflammation, then things are going to go a lot better, and you're going to sleep better. So the two most important species of bacteria, let me grab my eraser again, is going to be the Lactobacillus family. Now you probably have seen lactobacillus in your yogurt. So lactobacillus is just sort of the top level name of the species, but there's many subspecies below that. So one that I really like is called Rhamnosus Believe that's the spelling. Nope, I messed it up. Something like that. I think it's Nosous. There we go, that's right. Lactobacillus rhamnosus, that's a very good anti-anxiety probiotic. Believe it or not, in the future, I'm convinced we're going to be treating people with depression and mood issues by using specialized probiotic formulations as opposed to the typical antidepressants. And then also the bifidobacteria, which there's also a lot of subspecies beneath them as well. And basically what you're doing with these probiotics is you're crowding out all of the bad guys. So if you have a yeast problem and you knock that out, you want to make sure that you didn't kill off all the good guys in the process, that you actually have some good gut flora left. So focusing on a good lactobacillus, a good bifidobacteria are going to ensure that your gut's healthy. And if you feel worse taking these and you did not get tests run on yourself, then you can assume that there's some type of bacterial overgrowth going on and that you're feeding them as well. So really getting some testing done before you just guess and go buy some random supplement, it's a good idea. And if you want to talk about your sleep issues, then you can click here and schedule a 15-minute free call with myself. We'll talk about your symptoms and your goals. This is Evan Brand signing out. Take care. Bye-bye.